Hello, it's Mio and welcome to this Doodle with me video where I'll be drawing a page in the reversed coloring book. So I did a video like 3 months ago where I drew this drawing right here in this book, and I really enjoyed it and I thought it was fun and I wanted to do another one. So I started by flipping through my books and I tried to find a page that had a very vague pattern that was really easy for me to make whatever I really wanted to or whatever I saw from the page. So this time I'm going to be using these brown fine liners that I found in my pencil case because I thought that it would look really good and have this nice soft effect. And then I just started by looking at the page and trying to see if I found any forms. So straight away I found this blob that kind of formed an eye for me, and then from that I could see a little blush and then a little beak. So to me this looks like one of these parrots that has a little cheek color, and then they have this feather thing on the top. They're really cute. I think they're adorable, but I cannot for the life of me remember the name of the bird. So I decided to go with that, and that's kind of my strategy for the whole page, is just to look for forms that kind of look like animals, because I decided that that would be the theme of this page, much like the previous page that I made, but last time it was just like flower animals or like plants and animals. This one is just gonna be animals. I feel like these books are really good practice for many different things that you need to make art. For me, for example, I hate doing line art, so this is a very good practice for me to try to have a steady hand and work on my line art, work on line variation and all that type of stuff, and textures. So this is a really good practice for me for both that and also creativity, because here you have to kind of see what you can find in the pages, if there's anything that sticks out to you, if there are any forms that form a face, right? It kind of reminds me of when you're a kid and you're laying on the ground and looking at the clouds and trying to see different forms from them. So this is kind of like being a kid again and looking at the clouds, but instead of imagining what's in there, you get to kind of draw the shapes out. And I think that's really fun. I enjoy it a lot, and I think this reverse coloring book is a genius idea. Of course, a lot of the pages are very easy to read, you know, there's pages that obviously look like flowers, but then they have pages like this one that I really like because there's so much different stuff here. So for me, it worked to just kind of pick a theme, go with that theme, and then try to see one thing out of it, such as this one where I'm just looking for animal faces. That way I'm not overcomplicating things and the page is gonna look a lot more cohesive and not as messy. So that's my strategy in this. And last time I also felt like my page was a little bit too open, like there was a lot of open space. And here I'm trying to not do that. As you can see here, I tried to make the faces almost into one another, like they're on top of each other. So you're not going to see much of the body, you're mostly just going to be seeing the faces on top and next to other faces. This form over here could have been a lot of things, but I just saw one of these same birds that I just drew, like the birds with the cheeks and the little feathers on top, and I decided to go with a little bit of the body of the bird as well, because the blob kind of allowed me to, and the wings as well, because that's what the blob looked to me. So I'm not restricting myself too much, like some of the animal can have some bodies, but it's mostly gonna be heads. And sometimes, like with this one, I just kind of drew around what I saw and then later on figured out what animal is gonna be. And to be honest, I'm still not sure what animal this is supposed to be. It's kind of like a rat mouse type of thing, but it doesn't really look like that either. So this blob here was also very fun to me. To me, it obviously looked like an elephant, but it could really have been anything now looking back at it. In the moment, it looked like just an elephant and I couldn't see anything else. But now, watching this video back while making this voiceover, I can see that it could have been so many other things. And that's really the beauty of this book. Like, these blobs could really be whatever you want them to be. So I would definitely recommend this book for a little practice, or just to doodle in when you don't feel like making something complicated and you just want to make something simple. So right here, I'm kind of already breaking my little rule, which was animals, because the only thing I could see from this blob over here was a dragon. That's all I could see. I can see clearly the horns, I can see clearly the funky little dragon ears. So it's gonna be animals and fantasy creatures. Although I don't make all that many other fantasy creatures, but it was worth it for this dragon. I think this dragon turned out pretty cute. It's a little funky and angular, but that's kind of what you gotta have to live with this book, because the blobs are not always gonna be exactly what you want them to be. And I don't follow the blobs exactly, but I try to follow them as much as possible without the drawing looking silly or not having any form at all, because I still want them to look like the creatures that I'm trying to draw. Here I just look a little bit at the page before choosing where I want to draw and what I even see. And that is also something that I do throughout the process a whole lot, but I cut it out of the picture or out of the video because it's just not fun to watch, and I don't want this video to be a gazillion hours long. This video is in double speed, so you're seeing it double as fast as what it actually is, and the reason for that is that I do not know how to edit it any other way. That's the only option in my editing app. So you're seeing like a lot of the tiny little details and such in these videos. This whole page took me about 40-45 minutes all in all. So that is from start to finish, and including all the times that I had to stop and think and just look at the page. After looking at this page for a while, I could not unsee the little cow legs over here. So I just had to add them to the little cow, and then I added a little other animal. I don't really know what animal this was supposed to be. It just kind of started with me following the blob. And then here I'm kind of trying to figure out, okay, what can this be? In the end, I decided on like an anteater, and then I added a little ant so that you can see that it's an anteater. I should probably have looked at a picture of an anteater, because I do not think that this is how they look. This over here as well was an animal that I struggled with, because I could see the snout, but I couldn't see anything else. But in the end, I saw this very vague outline of something that could be ears. So I just added that in. And then I decided to add some horns for shits and giggles, even though it doesn't really fit in, or there were no blobs there for that. And a little color with a little bell, because I also think that would be, or thought that would be cute. Which it is, I like the little bell, it's a nice touch. So this orange blob over here, I really wanted to be something else, because I already have two elephants above this one. But this one could not be anything but an elephant. And this one is definitely the cutest. The other two are kind of spooky. So yeah, one well-made elephant, I would say. Then here I also struggled a lot, so I decided to just kind of fill in a little bit, cheat a little bit, to make this form look a little bit more whole. It still doesn't look like anything. It's kind of like a crocodile-ish type of thing, or a little dragon, who knows? It's relatively cute. And then here, I decided on just going wild. I was getting a little bit bored at this point. I'd made a lot of faces. So here I just went a little crazy and made something that kind of looks like a human. But I didn't like that it looked so much like a human, so I made it into a bear. And then I also tried to like fix the lips a little bit, because they were looking too much like a human lip. So you can see me fixing that here. And then trying to add a little bit of texture to make him look more fluffy. And then here, I decided to make a human, because the bear thing gave me the idea of a human. So I did that, and I don't know what I feel about this one. It's alright. Here's another little form that turned into a little bird. So you can clearly see that I'm getting a little bit bored, because the figures are not as detailed or not as fun anymore. And I also am getting a little bit more ballsy, because what is this? What is this creature? I'm just going with the flow, and instead of trying to make things look cute or like interesting, or I mean, I think they're still interesting, but they are not as refined, and my lines aren't as clear anymore, because I'm getting a little bored. This as well, what is this? In the end, I decided on making it into like a sea cow, but then it didn't look like a sea cow, so I gave it like these things on the face. Yeah, okay, it's a sea cow, but with whiskers. And then right here, I saw this weird form, and it is orange, so that gave me the idea of making a goldfish. So I did that. It's a little grumpy goldfish, and I kind of failed on the lips, so it looks a little goofy, but I tried to add some scales to make it look a little bit more like a fish. And then after I made that, I had to make something above that. And this actually turned out to be the cutest creature that I make on this page. So it turned into a little bear, and the eyes are just so sweet and so wholesome. And I gave him this very chubby cheeks and yeah, some eye details. It kind of looks like a Disney bear or something. Yeah, I think this is the cutest little thing. And then I decided to make a little creature next to it, and it is a little capybara that is like giving the bear a little smooch. So this is probably my favorite part of this drawing. I think this turned out really adorable. At this point, I'm done with most of the spaces in the middle that are very clear to me. So I decide to take a little break from the bigger forms or the main forms or the main blobs that are easy to read into, and then just go for in between the creatures. So try to fill in the empty spaces to add a little bit more chaos and some more details of different animals. Here I go with some basic cat bear looking things. I don't really know what they are, but very basic animals with basic eyes, basic nose, basic everything. And this one that I'm working on right now kind of turns into a rat panda. This blob right here was very difficult, but I could see this kind of triangular form, and the only thing I could think of with the triangular form was a eye, or like a side eye, or eye looking from you but the face is from the side type of thing. It turned out to be a gigantic mouse. So I added that in there. This form as well, what is this? It's difficult to say, but I decided to kind of make these eyes, and then this kind of looked like a face with some bunny ears or something. But it kind of looks like a cartoon character. Like it kind of reminds me of Blue's Clues or something, but a little bit more wild and a little bit more like a rabbit. Here I tried to add some texture on the, like around the mouth, a little bit of shading in the ears, and then I move on to the next one, which is just a little add-on animal, like I'm trying to do, like fill in the spaces. This right here looked like some kind of either frog or a snake to me, so I added that snake looking frog in there. And then this one right here looked like this kind of bat type of thing. It had like little wings, so I added that. Okay, so this next one also turned out to be one of my favorite ones that I made on this page. I feel like this one turned out really expressive, and this was also a form that I could see incredibly clearly. Like I could not unsee this form, and that's kind of my favorite ones to draw because I don't have to think too much. I can just kind of lay down the lines where I want to lay them and make something that looks good. So it's a little sassy dragon that is like looking to the side and has its back kind of towards you, and then it's like turning its head. It's really cute. And then here's a little simple bunny. Not much to this one. It's very simple, but effective. This one right here I also quite liked. So to me, I just saw, or I didn't really have an idea to begin with, but I saw different forms and I just decided to draw around them. And then I saw a little beak, so I drew that. And then here is where I kind of decide what I want to make. So at this point, I decide to make a little tiger because the form, I don't really know, it didn't really remind me of a tiger all that much, but the chubby cheeks I thought would look really cute with some details on them. And that just fit for a tiger the most, because then I can add little stripes. Then I gave the tiger some sassy little eyes, and then I add in some details. For this one, I just saw a little guy, so I just added that little guy right in there. And then here I saw, the only thing I could see from this was like one of these dogs that have incredibly long snouts. And then this one, the only thing I could see here was one of these wiener dogs. So this is just like the little dog corner with a bunch of tiny little dogs. Then I decided to finish the weird bird looking thing that I had going on over there. Here I also didn't really know what I was making. that's kind of the thing with most of these. But in the end, I think this one also turned out quite cute. But you can see with the rush of the lines that I'm kind of... Here, I've definitely had enough. Here, it's just too much for me. Getting really bored of it. This form right here, the only thing I could think of when I saw it was like this kind of buff guy. But then I decided that that would be dumb. So instead of that, I decided to make this little animal guy, because all of them are animals, so a little bear. But I decided to keep the idea of him being buff, so I gave him a little quick six-pack before doing more filler in animals, so in between animals, as I like to call them, just like little blobs that I try to fill in that are kind of behind the other creatures. So they're not supposed to be as nice looking as the others, although this one actually turned out pretty good. It's a nice looking cat. Here's another like in between animal, just trying to fill in the space with something. And this is pretty much the last one. I have a little space up here that I want to fill in. And that's kind of the last ones that I've got. And here I was very bored of this, so I tried to make the first creature quite big to try to use as much space as possible. And at first it was kind of looking like some kind of a mouse. But at this point I wanted to make it something else because it's really big and I wanted to have some more details. So it ended up being a tiger. Kinda, it doesn't look that much like a tiger, but I gave it the stripes of a tiger at least, before adding this other shape, pretty much out of nothing, but I didn't really see a shape there, so I just made something up. And it's kind of a little dog, but not a very pretty one. It's a very ugly dog. And here is one other form. Started with a humongous eye, before adding in just something around the face. I also didn't see anything here either, so I just added a little nose and a little bit of texture. Here is another tiny little guy, a little bird guy, another little fluffy guy inspired by the fluffy little dog I made, and then here is a spider. That one is the only insect I just realized that I made. I probably should have made some more insects. And that is pretty much it. That's the last one that I want to make. And here is the final page with all of the different animals, and I'm actually really happy with this. So here is a final look at the whole page all at once. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you liked it, and I will see you again next week. Goodbye.